245% nuke level tariffs arrive. Xi sends the peace signal to Trump, and the CCP replaces the trade negotiator. This is definitely a title that looks like it was probably translated directly from either Mandarin or Cantonese, but let's go ahead and jump into this video immediately. This is a suggestion via Discord. Let's do it, guys.
The U.S. China trade war takes a new turn every day, and now we've reached a nuclear-level tariff. On April 15th, the White House announced a 245% tariff on imports from China. The reason given is China's retaliatory measures against the U.S., and this tariff is intended to create a fair competitive environment. At the same time, anonymous sources from the Chinese government told Bloomberg that China is willing to restart trade talks, but with multiple conditions attached. This shows that while Xi Jinping wants to show a willingness to make peace, he also can't afford to be seen as weak.
Absolutely.
The White House stated that over 75 countries have approached the U.S. to discuss new trade agreements.
I think it's more now.
And during these discussions, the tariff measures will be paused. However, China is excluded from this, and it has taken retaliatory actions against the U.S. As a result, China now faces tariffs up to 245% on its products entering the U.S. On April 15th, Trump, through a White House spokesperson, called on China to come to an agreement with the U.S., and now it's up to China to decide. Alongside this news, another development has caught attention. This marks China's first time privately expressing a desire to negotiate.
Of course.
Bloomberg on April 16th quoted a source that said China wants to see the Trump administration take several measures before agreeing to trade talks.
All right.
These include controlling disparaging remarks from cabinet members to show more respect.
No. See, we have the First Amendment. I mean, and these are elected officials generally, right? So I apologize that our freedom of speech offends you, China.
Beijing also wants the U.S. to appoint a presidentially supported negotiator and help prepare an agreement that Trump and President Xi can sign when they meet. According to this insider, the most important condition for any talks is that Chinese officials need to know that such discussions will be conducted with respect. Although Trump has generally been mild when speaking about Xi, other members of the Trump administration have taken a more hawkish stance, making Chinese officials uncertain of the U.S. position.
Okay, hold on, guys. I've been waiting for this, and obviously this has to happen. In China, specifically Beijing, they absolutely do not want to seem weak to the people because, again, they're in a communist regime, right? I mean, their place of power exists as long as the people have jobs. And the higher the tariffs go, the more expensive things get, the less people have jobs, right? I mean, so it's like it's just a cyclical thing that happens here, guys. I would have went higher. Go higher. If you want to see them rush to the table, double that 245. Even though I personally think 245 is probably crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It just is. Think about it. For every $100, what is it? 245? This is 345. Guys, that's expensive. Guys, right? Just imagine that for a second here. It's wild. I would have said 1,000. Right? 1,000%. Right? Just to make it, just to make a point with it, bro. Because the problem is that they have, in fact, built their entire nation off of our backs, bro. Right? That's it. Off of the fact that we are ridiculous consumers, and they build everything for us, basically. Right? And they're still going to, but they're just going to now shift things through other places. You're going to start seeing, like, I don't know, made in Nigeria, made in Ethiopia things. I'm telling you, it's all coming from China still, bro. They're just stamping it when they get there, bro. But either way.
When U.S. officials make sharp comments about China and Trump doesn't reject these views, Chinese officials assume that Trump tacitly supports them. The source also said, in addition to wanting a unified message from the U.S. government, Beijing officials want to know if the U.S. is prepared to address some of China's concerns. One major concern is that Chinese officials believe U.S. policies are aimed at containing and suppressing China's modernization. Additionally, China wants the U.S. to address national security issues, especially the Taiwan issue. China insists it won't provoke any action on Taiwan, but will respond if provoked. Furthermore, Chinese officials understand that Trump may want to personally lead the negotiations. While Beijing would welcome Trump's personal involvement, China believes the best way forward is for officials designated by the two leaders to oversee the talks. This would be the most effective way to ensure that these negotiations lead to a meaningful summit between Xi and Trump.
Guys, the East and West are very, very, very different culturally. All right. So when someone from the East dictates respect, let's say, This is a different type of thing that they're actually asking for. And I don't really see why specifically the President of the United States of America needs to basically kowtow, let's say, to the demands of Xi Jinping. Yes. I don't understand. Why would they? Why would he? Right? I mean, you want to sell to our consumers. You do, right? Like, there is nothing here. You want some respect at the end of the day, bro. You are an adversary. You know, I mean, there's no real validity in this, but to make you feel better slightly about you having to basically bow to Trump's demands. Is that what it is? Because, guys, I'm not sure President Trump would be President Trump, let's say, if he was to capitulate to that deal specifically. But all right.
In essence, China's message is this: the U.S. should not question the legitimacy of the Communist Party's rule or threaten its continued hold on power. That is the first condition for negotiations. China demands that Trump restrain his cabinet members from making disparaging remarks about China, especially figures like President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Trade Advisor Peter Navarro. For example, Vance recently criticized the U.S. for borrowing money from Chinese peasants, which Beijing condemned. The vice president has made a point of distinguishing between China, the Chinese Communist Party, and the Chinese people, which has irritated the CCP.
That's true, though. Like, it's very true. How Vance put it was, moderately tricky, but look at the definition of the word.
Navarro has pointed out that the CCP, by nature of its economics, can never truly cooperate with the U.S. and is untrustworthy. Then comes the Taiwan issue. China emphasized that it will not provoke conflict, but if it is provoked, it will respond forcefully. This signals China's desire for the U.S. to make a clear commitment on Taiwan, either to firmly oppose Taiwan's independence or to promise that the U.S. will not directly intervene to defend Taiwan. Only if these political conditions are met will China be willing to make significant economic concessions. Additionally, China proposes that both sides appoint negotiators and set up a presidentially supported liaison. The goal is to facilitate a Trump-Xi summit. It can be said that the U.S.-China trade war has entered a high-risk phase. The 245% tariff gives the U.S. greater leverage, forcing China to consider compromise. However, some political analysts believe that China's additional conditions, such as asking the U.S. to respect the Chinese Communist Party, might be seen as unrealistic.
It is unrealistic, specifically for the American people. Bro, I dare you. Listen, Trump, listen, Trump, no, absolutely not. All right, listen, you can shake hands and be pleasant, let's say, but the whole concept of like specifically, like publicly, let's say, being fully accepting of that exact system, I don't know about that, bro. It's not a good look for him. It wouldn't be a good look at all because, guys, look at there's such a wealth gap, and notice how it seems like the wealthiest people consistently in China seem to be within the good graces of the Communist Party. There is, in fact, a two level group of citizens in that country, guys. All right, and it's not like middle class and how we split things up. No, it's a permanent underclass that you have to dig your way out of, if that's even a plausible thing under that system. Listen, nod your head, be happy with the fact that we're paying you $140 to $280 a month, right? Just be happy with that while we line our pockets, basically, guys. Right? Either way.
By American parties, which would lower the chances of starting negotiations. On April 16th, in response to the U.S. tariff hike to 245%, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian demanded that the U.S. stop its threats and extortion, and that any dialogue with China will be based on equality, respect, and mutual benefit. He emphasized that there are no winners in a tariff war or trade war, and that China is unwilling to fight but will not fear it either. However, it is somewhat ironic that while China's officials claim they're not afraid of a trade war, they also admit that the tariff war isn't about taxes, but rather about China's survival. On April 15th, the head of the Hong Kong and Macau's Affairs Office, Xiao Baolong, stated, "The U.S. can't stand Hong Kong's success. It's not about our taxes, it's about our life. Whether it's a tariff war, a trade war, or any other kind of war, we have nothing to fear. The sky won't fall. If you think appeasing the U.S. and begging for peace will bring us peace, that's extremely naive. We need to give up such illusions." Let's analyze the
It's exactly that. Like it's exactly that. Like literally, it's exactly that. Yeah. Like if you want to work and fund your country consistently off of again the backs and the livelihood of American citizens, I think that that's the way you're going to have to go going forward, Chris.
different tones used by the CCP internally and externally. Xiao Baolong's strong rhetoric is aimed at the domestic audience to address nationalist sentiments and avoid being labeled as weak. Evoking life or death is emotional, but it precisely reflects the leadership's perception of the threat posed by the tariff war, and may be intended to pave the way for potential compromise. By using a Hong Kong official's voice rather than directly speaking from the central government, China reduces the risk of direct confrontation. Externally, the CCP has also leaked to Bloomberg that it seeks respect from the U.S. and hopes for compromise on Taiwan, showing that China still desires negotiations and wishes to maintain diplomatic flexibility. On April 16th, Chinese independent political scholar Chen Daoyin told Radio Free Asia that Xiao Baolong's remarks clearly represented the Chinese government's message.
Absolutely.
But with a difference from the foreign ministry stance, indicating that China is determined to retaliate while keeping some options open. Chen Daoyin explained, by speaking through Hong Kong, the CCP wants the outside world to understand that the Chinese government is fully aware of the impact of this tariff war and the potential harm it could cause to China's future development. The second point is that the CCP has a tradition of saying, when faced with a narrow path, let the brave win. Since they want our life, we will fight to the death. We won't show weakness, but we can strike back precisely, which also serves to boost morale. But the fact that Xiao Baolong, a figure from Hong Kong rather than the central government, made these remarks shows that there's still room to maneuver. Chen Daoyin stated that President Xi Jinping's recent foreign visits were aimed at actively courting allies to counter the U.S., indicating that China has exhausted its options in the tariff war and now plans to use diplomatic strategies to respond. As the U.S. China trade war intensifies, Xi visited 3 Southeast Asian countries in an effort to strengthen economic and trade ties with neighboring countries in response to the high tariffs imposed by the U.S.
Guys, that's not how that happened, but you sure why not, bro? Like he went on a full-blown tour threatening people. It was like listen, if you side with the United States of America, all right, we are done. That's what he did. I mean, I hear what this AI bot is saying here. But guys, hold on. All right, listen, I hear what the thing is saying. I get that, right? It makes all the sense in the world, but it's not real. It's just not real. That's not what's going on. Like, there's been many a report that has come out, okay, as of now, of him going country to country that surrounds him, threatening them blatantly. If you side with the United States of America, we're done. And a lot of these smaller countries cannot be by they're existing right now healthily because China's there. Like if China wasn't there, right, for them, they would fall. And they know that. Right? The reality. Now, this whole Taiwan thing, no, bro, we're not going to let you basically Ukraine Taiwan, because that's exactly what they want to do at every time of the day. At all times of the day, they are just waiting, just like what Russia just did. China's going to do the same thing. So the minute we actually say, you know what, listen, guys, we're going to go ahead and not be invested heavily as heavily as we are in Taiwan, then the minute we do that, they're just going to walk in there and take it, bro. That's what they're saying. They're saying, hey, listen, we'll make a deal with you. If you don't protect Taiwan by any means, then we'll work with you on the trade. What? They are trying to just absolutely just pillage Taiwan, bro. But all right, listen, guys, the rest of the video is in the comments, guys, if you want to see it. But all right, they're going through it. I expected this. I also expected him to come to the table. But I would have also, again, put it higher. So, again, don't make me president. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly.